Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Bill. In today's video, we are going to finish up the combat for the Call of Cthulhu in the Keeper's Book. This is covering the optional rules, and then from there we will move on to chase rules in the next video. So spot rules, optional rules for combat. The main combat chapter, so you have rolling for initiative. If you, instead of using the set initiative based on dex, if you would instead want to roll, you could base it off of those that roll extreme success go first, followed by those who roll hard success, followed by regular success. And those that roll a critical on their dex roll for initiative should have a tactical advantage or a bonus die on their first attack. And those that fumble could forgo their first, the penalty would be forgoing their first attack or dropping their weapon or tripping. And then once this initiative order has been determined, stick with it for the duration of combat. And then you need to note down the order and what their level of success was when you list them down. That way, if others join in, you'll know where they would be placed in that initiative order after all the rolls. When using this optional rule, a character with a readied firearm may roll their dex with a bonus die. If the character draws a firearm during a combat round, has it readied at the start of the round, they may re-roll their dex roll with a bonus die. If this result is worse than their previous roll, they may retain their previous place order. That's cool. So here's how I would do it. Instead of that, I make my players roll dex every turn. But that I got from Pathfinder, and it's not a Pathfinder rule, that's the game we've used it in. So on the first round, you would roll initiative against each other, you and the monsters, and I just have one person roll. So if all the players can go first and then the monsters can go, that's fine. Or if the monster goes last this round and first next round, well, now the party has to deal with the fact that the monster got two actions back to back. So I do like this. It's just not something I would do that much bookkeeping with. Knockout blows. The standard rules apply that the target be knocked unconscious when the attack inflicts a major wound. The target must make a con roll to remain conscious. Also, the target is reduced to 0 hit points will fall unconscious automatically. The standard rules require significant lasting damage, and we are accustomed to seeing characters routinely knocked out on TV and in films. Rather than suffering a concussion or fractured skull, these fictional characters awaken later, rub their head, and carry on as if nothing happened. If you wish to incorporate a movie-style knockout roll into your game, then treat this as a maneuver using a blunt attack. If the maneuver is successful, the opponent is rendered unconscious and suffers only 1 hit point of damage. Knockout attacks may be used on any opponent with a skull or similar vulnerable spot. Humans, deep ones, ghouls, and so on, but not Shoggoth. I like that. I'd actually use that in my games. Might not use it all the time, but I definitely use it. Spending luck to remain conscious. Depends on the situation. I probably wouldn't allow this one unless it's like a major battle, major conflict with the monster. But let's read on. If you're using the optional rule to spend luck points to alter rolls, which I do, luck may be spent to remain conscious for a few extra rounds. Remaining conscious until the end of the current round costs 1 point of luck. The cost doubles on successive rounds, 2, 4, 8, and so on, and should be spent at the start of each round. This is a mixed blessing, as an active character may present more attractive target for further damage. And that is true too. Avoiding nothing happening when both sides fail their fighting skill roll. I'd probably just describe it as they both whiffed at each other or whatever. But let's read this. This is not one I'd probably use. Sometimes during melee combat, both sides simultaneously fail their fighting skill rolls and nothing happens. One way to view this is both sides are being equally ineffective at inflicting harm. An alternative point of view is that dealing harm is relatively easy and that the real skill lies in protecting oneself from harm during a fight. When taking the latter approach, failing a fighting skill roll means that you have failed to protect yourself during combat. Narratively, you may have missed your target and punched a wall or moved the wrong way and into your opponent's blow. There are many ways to get hurt during combat, and your opponent's fist is only one of them. There are 3 solutions available to you. First, use the default rule by which nothing happens when both sides fail, which is what I would do. Second, resolve the situation by breaking the tie in favor of the higher skill. Third, allow both sides to inflict damage as for a successful attack. The 2 sides have clashed during combat. Now, if both sides are damaged themselves, I might allow that. But overall, I don't think I would use that rule. Concealed damage. When you take an injury, do you know how close you are to death? This sense of uncertainty can be simulated if the keeper notes down the points of damage an investigator receives without revealing a number to the player. That's cool if everybody's up for that. I just don't usually use that rule. I like my players to keep track of their stuff. Usually from the D&D background, I got a lot of stuff to keep track of when I'm game mastering. A lot of different hit points on everything else. I don't want to keep track of my players' hit points too. Suppressing fire. The aim of suppressing fire is to make a group of targets die for cover. Since targets that do so cannot return fire, the shooter does not nominate a specific target, but declares that they are bringing suppressive fire upon a group. A group of targets might be all people in one room, or any group of people within the gun's firing arc. Each target in that area has the option to dive for cover, without knowing if they will be specifically targeted or not. The intention is to simulate the panic that people might feel when fired upon. Once those that wish to dive for cover have done so, the keeper should determine the target or targets from the original group at random, including those that choose to dive for cover. Those that successfully dive for cover will, of course, be harder to hit. I would use that. That's a good one. Armor revisited. Shotguns fire a mass of small pellets, each of which must pierce any armor. The damage for a shotgun is rolled using a number of 6-sided dice. Armor ratings are factored against every d6 when rolling shotgun damage. Thus, if an attack with a shotgun hits a target wearing a leather jacket of 1, that 1 point of armor is deducted from each and every damage die, reducing the attack that deals 4d6 damage by 4 points. Some forms of armor protect to specific parts of the body. For example, the helmet protects the head. In general, rough and tumble of a fist fight or fall from a window, it is credible that armoring specific parts of the body will reduce the overall damage received. And in the interest of simplification, the flow of the game, no further rolls are need to be made. However, in the case of single specific attack, such as being shot, raises the question of whether the shot was to an area protected by armor. In the case such as the attack, the luck roll is required. If the luck roll is successful, the armor was hit and the damage is reduced by the armor value. If the luck roll is failed, the attack hit the area not protected by armor. A character wearing armor that protects both head and torso gains a bonus die on their luck roll for armor protection. I don't think I would use that rule because that's a lot more breakdown of what's going on in a almost streamlined combat. So, optional hit location. Which I could use that. That seems good. At least when they want to have random areas hit. You roll a d20. And you have on a 1 and 3, it's a right leg. 4 or 6, left leg. 7 to 10, it's the abdomen. 11 to 15, it's the chest. 16 to 17, it's the right arm. 18 to 19, it's left arm. 20 is the head. Okay. Sights. Telescopic sights effectively double the base range when using firearms. If using sights with a .303 Lee Enfield rifle, for example, the difficulty level would not be increased until the range exceeds 220 yards, with extreme range being from 440 to 880 yards. Sights are no benefit at point-blank range. Bracing. Bracing a firearm, such as using a bipod, tripod, or mounted weapon, effectively doubles the base range for the weapon. Where the weapon is mechanically braced to a structure, vehicle, or building, the user gains a bonus die. I'd use both sights and that. Those are good rules. Movement during combat. Don't understand what they're getting at with that movement one. Complete concealment. Well, that's obvious if you've played any form of Dungeons and Dragons. Shooting at a target through cover. If you try to shoot at a target through cover, you add 1 penalty die. And you apply an armor rating for the type of cover. For example, a low brick wall could provide an armor rating of 10, where a thin wooden fence might only give 1 point of protection. Point blank revisited. The point blank bonus die does not apply to long or cumbersome weapons such as rifles, full-length shotguns, and bows, as these are less easily brought to bear on moving targets at close range. Short barrel shotguns or sawn-off shotguns do gain a point blank bonus die. I like that. I'd use that rule. Prone. Kicking someone when they are down is easier. Fighting attacks against a prone character gain 1 bonus die. A character that is prone may stand up with a successful dodge or fight back against an opponent. Alternatively, when it comes to their turn in the round, they may stand up and then take their action. Lying down provides a stable position for which to shoot. Prone characters get 1 bonus die when making firearm rolls. By lying flat on the floor, you present smaller target. Those targeting a prone character with firearm get 1 penalty die. Ignore this if it's point blank range. I'd use those rules. Poisons. All poisons are divided in 4 bands: very mild, mild, strong, and lethal. The bands indicate the deadliness of the poison and assume a single dose, application, draft, bite, or sting, depending on how the poison is administered. If multiple doses are received, the victim adds a penalty die to their con roll. The speed at which the poisons act is determined by the administration method and keeper discretion. Fast-acting poisons begin to work within a single round. death from cyanide poison can be expected within a minute, for example. Slower poisons may take hours or even days to register their effects. Very mild poisons, no damage, only temporary unconsciousness. Mild poison does a d10. Strong poison does 2d10. Lethal poison does 4d10. Those who succeed in rolling equal to or below a fifth of their con suffer a lesser effect. The damage should be halved and symptoms reduced as decided by the keeper. In certain circumstances, keepers may allow a poison's effect to be shaken off if the con roll is a critical success. A character might push the con roll by attempting to purge the poison through vomiting, amputation, or bloodletting, for example. Whether these things would work in real life is questionable. What matters is drama. Then there is a list of poisons, sample poisons on page 129. And that is the last page of the optional rules. I would use the poison rules. Well, these are the optional rules they present. As you've heard my comments, the rules that I would use, I've commented on. So, until we all game again, guys.